Today when I woke up, I went to check on my betta fish and I immediately noticed that he was acting very odd and he was not moving that much. He was always at the surface, and I quickly picked up on the fact that he did have swim bladder disease. The main cause of swim bladder disease is typically constipation, and I do believe that is what he is dealing with, just because I don't feed him the best of diets, and typically constipation is caused by overfeeding, or you're not feeding them the best diet you possibly could. In this video, I am going to be showing you how and what I use to get him back and looking like this. Now, like I mentioned, I do believe the cause of my betta fish's swim bladder disease is because I'm not feeding him the best of diets. I'm only feeding him these pellets right here, which do provide somewhat amount of nutrients, but they're typically not the best just because they are rather large in size and not easily digestible for the fish. Things like brine shrimp or bloodworms are definitely more suitable for their diet. Now, before you gasp, I will be using a solo cup to place my betta fish in as I nurse him back to health. I am a college student with a very limited budget and limited resources, so this is pretty much all I have to work with. He's only going to be in there for maybe a little bit over 24 hours, and I've done this before and he's been just fine. Obviously, if you're trying to cure your fish's swim bladder disease, it is obviously preferred that you do put them in a established quarantine tank or at least a larger clear container of some sort. I'd also like to add that I do go to school in Florida, so the temperature here is rather hot all the time, especially in my dorm room, so a heater within this cup will not be necessary. So this is what he looks like once I got him in there. He's only going to be in here for maybe over 24 hours, so he'll be alright. So I will be feeding him peas. These have a lot of fiber in them, which helps with the digestion process. There's other things that are a little bit better for bettas because they are carnivores, and that would be Daphnia. Peas work just as fine, but Daphnia is a little bit better just because they have a carnivorous diet. So I'm just going to throw them in the microwave just to thaw them out. And these are the two peas that I'll be using. I'm really just going to use one, but I just warmed up two just in case. What you see me doing right now is very important. It is necessary that you do peel the skin off of the peas before feeding them to the fish. The whole point of feeding these peas to the fish is to accelerate the digestion process and get that blockage out of the way that's really been causing them this constipation, and peeling the skin off just helps them digest it a lot easier. I take it a step further and I actually pick apart the peeled pea into really small pieces. I find this really important because it makes it a lot easier to see how much the betta fish is eating, and it just makes it easier for the betta fish to eat the pea in general. I even took it a step further and began cutting it with a knife that I had, just so I can get it into those really tiny pieces that it's very easy for the betta fish to just gulp in one bite. Once I cut the pieces up as small as I'd like, I start by putting them on the side of the walls of the solo cup and slowly inching it down. I find by doing this, you easily get the betta's attention on the food, and you know the betta fish will eat it. So right there you see he snaps right at it immediately, which is what we want. Same thing in this instance. I kind of just slowly inch it down so he's got his eyes on it, and the second it reaches the water, he eats it, and I know that he's eaten it. Same thing here, he swam down for it. I took this video just to show you how relatively small those pieces are. I believe I put my finger next to it to just show you the difference in size. But yeah, you want it really small, about as big as their mouth. And I continuously do this. I fed him about a whole pea. The last thing you want is to even overfeed them more with the pea. So it's best to underfeed rather than overfeed when you're doing this. And then once I was done, I put a little banana plant in there just so he can hang out and hammock under it or float under it as much as he'd like while he ingests those pieces. So I'm just going to put him off to the side. For a few hours, I'm going to check on him and hopefully he will recover soon. only just 8 hours later, I looked in the cup and I could easily tell that he was ready to go back in the tank. He's at the bottom of the cup, which tells me that his belly is no longer inflated and that he is almost fully recovered. Right here, you can see him slowly make his way back into the tank. So here he is. You could already tell that he's doing much better because he's able to freely swim throughout the tank rather than just being suspended at the surface. The tank is in need of a little bit of an algae scraping, so I'm just going to clean it up for him right here. So now that looks much better for him. Now, although he is cured swim bladder disease wise, he is still very stressed because I did have him in a very small solo cup with no circulating water, so he is a little bit out of his comfort zone. You could see the discoloration in his gill area right there, but by tomorrow morning he should be back to normal, swimming fine with full coloration. So it is the next morning, and he has gained all his color back. He has no more of that white polka dot-ish coloration near his gills, and you could clearly see he's doing much better, no signs of swim bladder disease, and the stress is completely gone. But that does take us to the end of the video. I hope you learned something today. Thank you for watching.